Episode number 21 of British Strength Radio with Helena Humphries and Bobbie Butters. If you would like to support the generation of future episodes of this podcast, head over to britishstrengthmagazine.com and subscribe to British Strength Magazine. We have articles by the brightest minds in the British strength sports industry and interviews with the UK's strongest athletes. We've had Bobbie Butters write for us before, and I'm sure at some point we'll have a writing again. Okay, so today we've been here at Manchester University Students' Union doing a little seminar for the students and members of Northwest Powerlifting. Helena, your talk was on?
That was on recovery and what you can do to kind of optimise your training with regards to recovery.
And Bobbie, yours was on?
Mine was on competition day, and I called it the mental approach edition.
And I did one on nutrition. So Helena, we'll start off with you simply because you've not been on the podcast before. Bobbie, we've had you on before. So just give us a little idea of your powerlifting background.
So, yeah, I mean, I actually started, I don't know if I should say this, but with CrossFit, and that sort of got me into weightlifting and got me kind of a little bit more in the know, because prior to that, I didn't know anything really. I didn't used to go to the gym very much, and this was about 8 years ago. And then I sort of heard about powerlifting and then got into it. Then I moved to Germany and just I did my first competition. It was kind of by chance because a couple of the guys in my gym were going to compete in the GDFPF, which is the German Drug-Free Powerlifting Federation. So I went and did that, and then I surprised myself. I came first, and I just literally got the bug for it. I just loved it and thought I need to do this again, even though I was kind of nervous about it. And then ended up competing at the Worlds, and then got myself a better coach and kind of went into the German IPF there, and that's how I kind of got into powerlifting. Yeah.
So that German powerlifting federation that you started with, was that like an affiliate of is it like the equivalent of the BDFPA, is it over here?
That's right, yeah.
Is that the equivalent? So it
Exactly.
probably wasn't as... So it was probably better when you got over to the German IPF, right?
Yeah, the German IPF and the IPF in general is just way more competitive in my eyes. And yeah, I kind of had the head coach at the time from Germany for the IPF, the German IPF, Francesco Verzi. And yeah, he was great at kind of changing up my technique a little bit and really getting me more on the platform as well. So yeah.
Yeah, you can't really ask for much better than the head coach of your
Yeah, I did all right
country.
there. I did all right.
So 8 years, that's...
Well, yeah, sort of. That's why when I kind of got into it. So I'd say I've been powerlifting 6 to 7 years now.
Okay, so still longer than I have. And Bobbie, how long have you been powerlifting?
Because I did Olympic weightlifting in the middle, I have been competing competitively in powerlifting nearly 10 years.
Wow.
But I did do Olympic weightlifting in the middle for about 2. And there was a period where I stopped powerlifting and went full hog Olympic weightlifting. So.
Okay,
Wow.
so I'm the noob. Right? Okay, so Helena, tell us why you went over to Germany.
So I finished my degree in biomedical science at the University of Manchester, and I had no idea what I was going to do, whether I was going to do further research or something. And I was just looking on the careers website with the University of Manchester and found a business development internship in Freiburg, Germany. So that's sort of on the Swiss border in the Black Forest. And I just thought that's a bit of me, that just going and doing something a bit random. Everybody thought, why is she going over to Germany? It just seems really weird. But yeah, no, I just went for it and then ended up getting a job and just staying.
Yeah, because that's something I found really interesting when I first started following you, that you're in Germany. So do you have any German background at all?
Prior to that, I just did a GCSE in German. That's about it.
Right. Okay. So you pretty much almost started learning the language afresh.
Yeah.
With the base of what you'd learned at GCSE. So that's pretty cool. And you came back for what reason?
To be honest, I felt like I've completed that chapter. I realised when I was coming back to visit friends and being back in Manchester, my home base is here. and I love like always seeing my friends and my family and stuff. And although I'd kind of developed some good friends over there, and I did kind of enjoy my time over there, I just felt really bored. I'm somebody that likes a lot of stimulation as well, and the city wasn't very stimulating. There wasn't a lot to do. There wasn't as many kind of interesting restaurants and things to see and do. So yeah, I mean, I came back because I just felt like it would be more fun to be back in Manchester, and I feel like it is. Like, I'm really happy that I moved back.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing, but not with Germany. But like, when home is home, it's one of those things, isn't it, whereby sometimes you can't get it off your head that that's where you're meant to be.
Yeah, and I was there for 5 years, and that for me was long enough in any place. So yeah.
You coped better than I would have, to be fair. I'm a right soft ass. I would have been like, to be that far away, I would have been dying to come home.
Yeah.
But in terms of your powerlifting numbers, so you're a 57 kilo.
63.
You're 63.
Yeah.
Have you competed in the 57s before?
My first competition, so I was under 58 in the GDFPF.
Okay.
And then, I was just sort of like adding on quite a bit of weight. And I tried to diet into the under 57s for my first regional German IPF. It's the BVDK, that's what it's called. But I didn't even make that. And then Francesco we decided together that I would stick in the 63s.
So 63 is like your regular class.
Yeah.
Okay. And your lifts, I know I saw you, was it 155 pull the other day that you put up?
152 probably,
152.
deadlift. But I so in my last competition I'd done a 137.5 squat, 70 bench, and a 172 deadlift. The squat, I have done a 140 squat before at competition. Red lights, like probably not deep enough. I feel like 140 is a bit of a hurdle that I'm trying to get over. But the 137 I did in the summer of last year was pretty easy, so I'm hoping I can get over it.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned that you mentioned something about just getting out of the juniors and been in Germany for 5 years.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
You leave uni at about what?
21.
21.
Yeah.
So you're pretty young too.
I'm 27 now.
27.
Just turned 27. Yeah.
So, well, it's quite a while after the juniors, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, so you got some impressive numbers there. So you don't just do everything in terms of like, when I made the flaw before of saying that you've not been as active in powerlifting, I guess from looking at your social media and stuff, that's what I meant. Like, you're a bit more multifaceted with stuff that you.
How I brand myself?
Yeah. You're a lot more into. You probably have more sponsorships than other athletes, and not just from the companies, more powerlifters, not just from the companies that you would typically expect.
Yeah.
So you've been able to. What are the companies that you've?
So at the moment, I'm working with Girls Who Powerlift, and they've been supporting me since, well, probably about 3 or 4 years, and they've stuck with me, which I love. I love the fact that they have, and I love working with them. And the reason why I'm with them, because there's other clothing brands that do approach me, but I really like what they stand for, like women in powerlifting, trying to get more women into the sport. So that's why I'm with them. I'm actually currently with Prozis as well, their supplement company. In the past, I've worked with BSN in Germany, which for me was amazing to work with them. Mm-hmm. We did FIBO, and we had like a really nice team vibe. We did FIBO together. We had opportunities to kind of like do different events, and that was a really cool sponsorship. Yeah. Okay.
Prozis, I'd not heard of that company before. Are they a UK based company, or had you met them through Germany, or kind of sounds maybe a bit German?
Yeah, I think they're Portuguese,
Okay.
I think they're just solely based within Europe, though. I don't think they do anything outside of Europe. I actually originally saw them on Melinda Grass's Instagram, Melinda. And I think it was just like pure luck that when I came to the UK, I just got an email from them.
Okay.
So I mean they're interesting because they do a lot of stuff, a lot of protein foods that you wouldn't typically expect, like some cereals, even protein bread, but they obviously do the full range of protein and like pre-workouts, all the standard stuff too. So, and they also do clothing. They cover so many bases. So that's why for me it was a really interesting sponsorship to get.
Yeah, and how did you get into being a sponsored athlete in general? So like BSN, for example.
Yeah, well, I really was just showing what I was doing in the gym, and like, I mean, I kind of wanted to show my personality more as well, because I wanted the page. I want people to come to the page and be like, oh yeah, I like Helena. Like, not, oh, she's cool, she just does powerlifting. Like, I want them to come to my page and see my personality, see that perhaps I'm a bit of a joker. Like, you know, I like to kind of entertain people a little bit as well.
That's what I meant by the multifaceted social media side.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've taken a bit of a backseat because these last few months, because other things have just become priorities. And, you know, it does take a lot. It is kind of like a second job with all the social media. So, I mean, yeah, having cameramen and the gym got busier, and just, it is hard to do. But I used to really, really enjoy it. Now I'm not enjoying it as much because, like, it's just becoming harder and harder for me to do. But yeah, it is good fun though. Like, yeah.
And how many, with the social media, you said cameramen, so how many followers do you have now?
Currently 53k thereabouts.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's all right, isn't it?
And this is obviously going to contribute to getting the sponsorships.
Definitely. Oh yeah, I mean, obviously companies are looking for really good brand ambassadors with a good following to kind of showcase. It's all about getting the reach, really. And if you're kind of interesting to them, they're definitely going to want to sponsor you though. So yeah, the numbers is definitely obviously why.
So would you say to someone who is looking to, you know, I'm guessing the main reason people get sponsorships is to help almost with the financial burden of buying all the things that you normally have to buy.
Yeah.
Supplements, things like that. Maybe even, can you divulge whether you get paid travel and hotels and stuff for comps?
Yeah, so because I've had a range of sponsorships over the years, so with RP Strength, I was getting a salary with them. Unfortunately, when I moved from Germany to the UK, BSN had just been like, oh, we're going to offer you a salary now. And I'm like, because I just moved to the UK. They didn't have the UK budget, so that was kind of annoying. But yeah, and with Girls Who Powerlift, they've subsidised comp travel. Sometimes, like in the past, they used to do equipment as well, like if I needed to get new shoes and stuff. So that is really, really, really good, really supportive.
So it's not just like people on the outside might just think, oh, such and such gets
10% off. Like,
yeah, it's not just like being a brand ambassador because you want to be a brand ambassador. It's, you know, in your case and in your case too, Bobbie, you know, you I'm guessing that SBD, and do you have anyone else?
No, SBD is my only sponsor.
But I'm guessing they help you out with more than just free kit?
They do now, yeah. After my Worlds performance, I'm now fully sponsored SBD athlete, so they'll pay for my flights, accommodation, entry fees, etc. Obviously, they already supply the kit for the Team GB, etc. So hopefully, if I get selected this year, that will be great. Then SBD will be paying for me to go, which is great.
So even though it's not thousands and thousands, obviously, if you can get a decent sponsor, which is actually a sponsor, then it does make a difference. Yeah,
it means I can go to compete. I've turned down numerous competitions because I couldn't afford to go, especially now that the Europeans, you have to stay in a hotel. That made it impossible for me to pay for it purposely.
Sorry, before you go on, you have to stay in a hotel. Like, you're not allowed to stay in an Airbnb?
No, you have to stay in a hotel. Otherwise, you used to be able to just pay a fine, which is what I did in my first Europeans. But now, if you don't stay in the hotel, you're not allowed to compete.
What's the reason for that?
I'm not really sure. I don't really agree with it, to be honest. But it just meant, obviously, that the hotels can charge whatever they want, and it's just to get money, I guess.
I wonder if the IPF are in on this. And on this in terms of financially.
Yeah, so I don't really know the ins and outs of it. It's a rule I definitely disagree with, because it means there are people that can't go. I've been in that position before. Like, I've turned down 3 international competitions. One, because I was not in a physical state to do it, but the other two I couldn't afford it. And then last year, I did a crowdfunder, and if I didn't have the crowdfunder, then I wouldn't have been able to go. And I was able to raise like £750, which is absolutely insane. I'm so thankful for everybody who donated. I thought that was insane, and I had help from various different people, like people didn't even know, but they knew me, and I was like, that's really great, and that's how I was able to go. But SBD have been fantastic and have offered this to me, and I think it's great.
That is amazing. And while we're on the topic of crowdfunding, I'm really conscious that we don't have as much time as we normally do to do this podcast. So listeners, and both of you, if it seems like I'm going back and forth on topics, that's because I'm trying to get as much in as possible.
No worries.
But what do you both think about the topic of crowdfunding? Because whenever someone does a GoFundMe for powerlifting and they put it there, all you have to do is look at the comment section, and there are positives and negatives. It turns into a massive debate. Yeah. What do you both think about it?
I definitely really struggled with it from like a pride perspective, for sure. So I turned down 3 competitions because I was like, no, I should be able to pay for it myself. Like, I've decided to do this sport, therefore I should be able to pay for it. And there's still a lot of me that I only wanted to ever do the crowdfunder once. And the main reason why I did is because people were messaging me saying, are you going to do a crowdfunder? And I was like, I hadn't really thought about it. It's not really something that I would want to do. But because I had people trying to support me, and it was, someone said to me they wouldn't offer if they didn't want to. Yep. And I was like, well, actually, that's very true.
It's their choice, isn't it?
It's their choice. They don't have to. If they disagree with it, then of course, then you don't give money. So, if I was in a position where I could help a lifter, then I would. Yep. So I was like, I'm going to put it out there and see what I get. And I was blown away by the support. Obviously, there was some controversy that came with that. And I think the day after I put up my crowdfunder in British Powerlifting page, there was like a huge debate on why people...
I think it's ridiculous. I think in this day and age, people are getting so shamed for asking for help. You know what? Like, there's so many people that say, oh, you know what? I started this business by myself. I did this by myself. In reality, we live in a society where, like, you didn't. You're supported by a lot of people that enabled you to get to that position. Mm-hmm. Your business you're able to build that business because all these other people exist that support that. And I think it's a shame that people do that think like that.
Yeah, I think it has a lot that goes into it in terms of not whether you should or you shouldn't, but whether, like, how worthy of crowdfunding someone is. Again, that's subjective, but like someone like Bobbie, I would not like question why she'd done it one bit. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see Bobbie go and compete at a high level. Was that one for Sweden?
It was for Sweden. That was for Sweden.
Okay, so it was worth it then, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? And then if you just put it out there that people are, able to help you go there, you know what I mean? That's all you're doing. I think sometimes on our side, when I say our side of the sport, the untested side of the sport, whether the qualifying totals are a lot easier to reach for internationals, like really easy. Sometimes I kind of think, you know what, you've asked for $2,000 from us, and you're gonna get a medal by default. You're not gonna go and get a medal by the fact that you're a great lifter. Still, it's other people's choices whether they allow you over there. Sometimes you think, do you need to be doing this? Do you need to go to that international? Again, that opinion brings about a lot of backlash. But I think there are two sides to it all the time, and it does depend on a lot.
I still feel like it shouldn't stop anyone from asking. If you want to ask, if people perceive it as cheeky or not, I suppose that's up to them, but you keep it to yourself, I think. But I still see where you're coming from in terms of, like, if you're a very dedicated lifter like Bobbie and myself, even, like, you kind of do deserve to get to that point. I think like in any other sport, that type of performance that you've put forward would warrant having a really good sponsorship. It's the problem that the money's not there in powerlifting, so maybe you might need to do a crowdfunder.
For sure.
So staying with you at the minute, Bobbie, talking about your lifts, like how's training been recently?
I think I basically did a really big off season after Sweden,
Okay.
mainly to finish my studies finally, also just to work on like various different things, like to do with my lifting, getting better, getting stronger, getting a bit fitter as well was a big thing. And now I'm coming into like, well, I'm in my competition prep for nationals. So far so good. I'm really pleased with how it's gone, getting like volume PBs, rep PBs, and I'm slowly like getting to the heavier weights, and it's getting exciting.
Nice. Am I right in saying that nationals is on the 7th of March?
That's the one. Oh
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So what are you hoping for there?
As long as I chip my PBs, that would be great. So that would be potentially 175 squat.
Wow.
That's insane.
It'd
It
be
That's heavier than my deadlift.
it'd be amazing to hit that 105 I missed in Sweden. That would be great. For bench, that would be awesome. Any more that's there on the day would be great. I did 100 kilos in bench this week, and I came away and I was like, yo, like that move. I was really happy with how it moved.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a little bit of confidence booster, like, oh my, all this work I did on bench, because basically this skewed mess when I was benching at Worlds, just like one shoulder's off to one side and all sorts. So I've really had to work on that and getting everything more in line. And I was like, this is really paying off. Like all this hard work and persistence. So I was like, yeah, this is working. Maybe more than 105, but 105 would be great to get. And for deadlift, just getting that 180, getting into that 180 mark would be great.
And you're doing the same competition, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I think I overheard you telling
Yeah.
Bobbie over there. What are your goals? How's training been going?
So I've got at the moment a shoulder issue. So
Mhm.
it's an AC joint grade 2 injury. I'm just trying to get through it. I'm just trying to stick with my training and hopefully get a PB. The way I was going with my training anyway for bench, it was working easily up to a PB, which we're looking at 72, 75 kilos. So yeah, I'm just going to hopefully rehab that after the comp. Squat, hopefully I'm going to get beyond this 140 milestone in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking 145 I'm hoping for. And then probably like a 180, maybe 182 deadlift.
That's a big deadlift.
That's awesome.
Yeah, be awesome.
Yeah,
I'll be
that's
really
really
happy
good.
with that.
Very near triple body weight, right? If you weigh in at 63, that is.
63, yeah, very, very close, I guess.
Well,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
It
10
is,
it'd
yeah.
be 10 kilos away, wouldn't it? If
Yeah.
it's,
Oh,
Yeah.
exciting.
yeah. So you're not
Yeah.
too far off that
Yeah,
either.
200s will be it's my lifetime goal, and obviously I want to be as strong as I can be. But yeah.
It's a nice round number.
nice number,
Oh
isn't
yeah,
it?
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
200
sick.
kilo deadlift, like badass.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes you like elite woman in terms of like raw deadlifting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
I-
obviously the deadlifting standards, yikes, are high.
They are high,
Especially
yeah.
with Miss Naomi, like
She's crazy.
52 lifting over 200
Yeah.
kilos.
Yeah.
Like, that's some big shoes to fill right there.
Yeah, I've actually,
Amazing
I've actually as well switched up from sumo to conventional. So
Right.
I'm gonna see how it is on my lower back and see if I can, get through that. But I think, it seems to be working out for me. Like I felt like potentially I'm stronger in that position. I've got longer arms, and so I'm just gonna see how it translates. But so far, so good in training. I've been kind of going heavy-ish, so yeah.
Excellent. That's really good.
So, Bobbie, going back to you, you've just completed your masters. We talked about that a lot on the previous podcast that we did with you. And what's going on like in work life at the minute? Because you told me you had recently had a new job that you've just started, and you're proliferating your business now.
Yeah, so oh gosh, there's a bit of all sorts going on. I feel like I'm a little bit in limbo. So I have fortunately passed my Viva, which means that I have officially got a master's degree, which is great. Happy days. I just have to do some amendments. I am going to be pushing the business a bit more now that my partner has also finished his Viva, so that's very exciting. There's so many different projects with that. Part of the projects of the business is working with younger people. This is how I then thought about getting this job as a supply teacher. So I've been going into high schools and being a supply teacher, doing just like various classroom work. I've been really enjoying it because I'm with younger people, and I feel like, it can develop your communication skills. I also love lecturing. I definitely prefer lecturing to teaching in a high school. That's just me personally. It is a different kind of vibe. But yeah, just a bit of extra experience in that area, and I just want to make sure that I can put food on the table.
Of course,
Yeah.
I think working with kids is like a great thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're, if you're actually passionate about it and like quite a good role model, which of course you are for any, for any young kid. But I think something I heard you talking to one of the attendees at the seminar was I can imagine, say for example, if you were in the classroom in a t-shirt, because you are jacked. I mentioned that in our talk. I bet you get so many funny questions, don't you? Give me an example.
The best is, I haven't been doing this job very long, literally 3 weeks I've been doing this job for, and one of my first lessons, like, I had people walk in, saw me at the door, because I'm going to greet them in, say good morning class, good morning. They literally laughed. They literally looked at me, laughed, and then walked and sat in their seat, and I was like, oh, great. And then they see my name on the board, don't they, Miss Butters, and that's it. Like, that's another laughing stop. But then I do get a lot of questions like, Miss, do you go gym? I'm like, I really want to say no, but I'm like, but I find it gets their attention as well. So, like, because teenagers can be quite rowdy, and yeah, they do get asked about, like, do I go to the gym, what do I do, etc. And I just tell them I just start the class, because I get a lot of questions straight away, and I'm just like, this is what I do, and it gets their attention, and I feel like it's quite helpful to get engagement, because obviously I'm only a supply teacher, I'm not there to teach, so it gets them looking at me and, like, focusing on me, and then I can tell them what work to do as well. So it's using it to my
it gets their
advantage.
respect as well,
gonna
really.
say.
Potentially, yeah.
It gets them listening, like, wow, I want to be like Miss or something.
Potentially, yeah.
Do you find that, like, maybe there's, in terms of getting the respect, maybe there's a little bit of an intimidation factor as well? I'm not saying for a second that you're trying to be intimidating, but for example, maybe people are, some people have never seen a woman who is as muscular as you are.
But very potential. I've definitely had people say that to me in the past. And when I was at the school the other day, one of the children actually said, like, so and so actually feels like intimidated. But she was talking to me, but she was like, I've just, like, not seen this before, exactly as you're saying. So very potentially, I just try and be myself and, like, yeah.
Do they behave for you then? Yeah.
Most of the time,
Okay.
yeah. I just try and, like, get on their level a little bit, and try not to be, like, super strict like their normal teachers, just because I physically can't do that, because I'm not there all the time. I don't know them, so it's kind of like a different vibe. So I just try and get on their level a little bit, and most of the time they do. I don't like shouting. I don't think it's necessary. I don't want to start shouting at children, but sometimes it's necessary. Like yesterday, I had, like, a year 7 class, and they were, like, on the ceiling, literally throwing stuff, and I was like, I had to, like, get, like, a more demanding, assertive voice out.
I can't tell you how much I would love to see you shouting at a group
Lose
of
it.
kids, because you're such a nice person. I know you say you shout on the platform and stuff. I've never seen that.
Do you do that?
Live.
Oh no! I think I'll get fired.
I think that's definitely the next meme somebody needs to
Someone needs to Photoshop you doing your scream and just, like, a bunch of terrified kids.
I'll do it for you.
That'd be hilarious. Oh, brilliant. Oh dear.
That would actually be amazing.
That would be funny.
Okay, so we've got 5 minutes to wrap this one up. I want to ask you, Helena, first. Like, do you have any? Because you're pretty unique, like we've already said, in terms of number of followers, especially in terms of, like, British powerlifting women. I can't really think of any who are doing the same type of thing as you, and sponsorships and stuff. Do you have any tips for people, like, coming up, who maybe think, like, okay, I'm getting into this, I want to make it more of a career, I want to...
In terms of Instagram?
Yeah, in terms of income, getting sponsorships, stuff like that.
I would say try your best to bring your own spin to it and bring your own personality to it, because if you're just, it's like there's so many, I would say there's a lot of guys out there that just flex their guns a little bit and, like, will get a film of maybe doing some, like, back work or something, and it's just not really, doesn't really mean much to anyone. But yeah, I think trying to do sort of something different. Like, I mean, I do try and put my own sort of funny vibe on stuff sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just about trying to bring your side of it and try not to do necessarily what other people are doing. That's probably my best advice. And be genuine with it as well. People actually like real. Like, I know some people that are fake, they do quite well, but people like genuine people. Like, if they know that you're being real with regards to it, then they're going to back you, I reckon. So, yeah.
So basically build your own brand.
Build your own brand, yeah.
Whilst being yourself.
Yeah. And people like to see behind the scenes as well. So if you're just going in the gym and filming that might not be so engaging or interested. But if maybe you're going to your comp day and you're like, right, guys, I'm going to show you what goes on, you know, in the training room, in the warm-up, and then talk about how you're feeling, you know, stuff that's really personal. People like to hear that stuff, so yeah.
Yeah. You know what? You know who else said this? Jay Cutler. Back in the day, he was the first bodybuilder to do, he would do his training videos, but they would go in his house and, like, for some reason, people like to see him eat and like to see what his lifestyle's like.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think that brings more engagement, like more lifestyle stuff rather than just the training. There's nothing wrong with using your Instagram as a training log, of course.
Yeah, people are
curious.
Yeah, people are really curious. Like, you know, they want to see, like, because if you're just putting out, like, you're doing powerlifting stuff, like, what's she really like? You know, what does she eat? You know, these things people really want to know. So, yeah. And if you're kind of like into funny stuff as well, obviously, like making people laugh is always going to engage people as well.
Of course, yeah.
Well,
as we do have only a few minutes to clear this room out, we're going to wrap this one up there. Thank you both for coming on. I obviously wish we could have had more time because I would have liked to ask you so much more. But maybe we can get together and podcast again. I'd certainly like that. We're all in the local area anyway, aren't we?
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
We'll certainly do something like this again. And I really enjoyed listening to both of your talks. So I'll be picking your brains on a couple of the things once we've finished here. Thank you both for coming on. Anyone you want to mention or thank, shout out, whatever?
My main shout out right now is well done to my boyfriend Ryan Hayes and my coach for passing his Viva. 2.5 hours worth of grilling. That man's a genius, man. I'm impressed. Yeah, and
excellent.
So well done.
Well done, Ryan.
That's great. Yeah, like, thanks for having us on, I guess. And today was really, really cool to, like, get up in front of people and talk about what we're passionate about. Definitely, I'll speak probably as well on that one. So
I really enjoyed it, despite being very nervous beforehand.
Same.
That's okay. I definitely was too.
Okay. So remember, go to BritishStrengthMagazine.com and subscribe to British Strength Magazine.